작은 것 같아. 너만 준비돼
Welcome to
있다면.
Sex at 10. I'm Rebecca Rosenblat, certified relationship and sexuality therapist and your host, here to answer your questions on all things intimate. Whether you're stuck in a relationship dilemma, have issues with your body, trust, trauma, addiction, or orientation, or just need a little help with turning up the heat in your bedroom, give us a shout at 1-800-968-7836 and let's chat. Everything's fair game. If you've thought about it, we can talk about it. We've all heard of love languages and the importance of loving our partner in their language so they can feel it. Tonight, we'll be discussing a brand new concept, sex languages, and the importance of knowing our partner's primary language so we can take intimacy to new heights. And to help me with that discussion, we're so fortunate to have the man who defined those languages joining us tonight, Dr. Doug Weiss, who's flown in just to do our show. Dr. Weiss is a licensed psychologist, executive director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center, president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy, author of various books, including 5 Sex Languages, a frequent guest on various shows such as Oprah and Dr. Phil, and one of our favorite repeat guests. So it's indeed an honor and a privilege to have him joining us tonight. Welcome to Sex at 10.
Well,
it's so great to have you here finally in person.
Here. Yes.
Very, very excited about the interview. So thank you for flying in just to do this with us tonight.
Oh, I'm excited.
Dr. Weiss, the 5 love languages revolutionized how we express love. So I'm beyond excited that you've revealed 5 sex languages that will revolutionize intimacy. Perhaps you could begin the discussion by telling us how you identified and defined them and wrote a book about them.
Well, I've been working with couples for over 30 years. And so repairing couples that have been damaged by sexual addiction, intimacy, anorexia, and teaching them how to go from there to awesome sex. And what I learned is we have sex languages because they're missing each other. They're frustrated with each other. They don't understand why they're different than each other. And they haven't had a language or a paradigm to be able to make that make sense. The 5 sex languages makes it make sense and teaches them how to take their sex to another level. Tonight, your guest, their sex IQ going to go up a few points, guaranteed.
That's amazing. Okay, so we should be giving out guarantees. But I really like that you've come up with this concept because a lot of times when people are doing sex addiction work, for instance, people think that sex is a bad word, but it's not. It's about having it in a healthy context.
Oh, sex is beautiful. Why not take it better? I mean, it's like having a great music and then putting some words to it. What we've done in the 5 sex languages is we put words to your sex. And once you sing that together, oh my gosh, you can mess your spouse or partner up so much. and they won't even see it coming, which is great.
Well, that's good. Then I'm really glad that you're here tonight because sex is going to change for all of our audiences. We're guaranteeing this tonight, right?
Okay, great.
Okay, you heard that, viewers. Tonight is a very special night for you to call in and speak with Dr. Weiss in person. He's open to all your relationship and sexuality questions and apparently giving guarantees about best sex ever.
Well, they got to do what I'm telling them to do, though.
Yes, of course. They have to practice the languages, and they also have to know what is their own language as well as what is their partner's language. So they're not, like you said, missing each other. Because sometimes we don't even appreciate it. It's like somebody speaking to us in a language that we don't understand, and it's just as difficult to grasp or do anything meaningful with it.
Well, it can be Greek, but let's break that down. The 5 sex languages. One is fun. This person likes to try different things. They're spontaneous. They're creative. Because for them, sex and fun is what takes it higher. And then there's the pleasure. This person's the sex professor. This person wants to experiment and try different things. And does this work better? That work better? Do you like this better? They're a real fun spouse. Okay. Then you have patience. Now this man or woman likes to do the same thing, exactly the same thing, exactly the same thing.
Over again.
Take your time with them. But see, if you understand that's their sex language, you're not going to be so upset with them. Okay, so we'll get to that later. And then there's the person who wants desire. This person wants to be wanted. The key thing for them is, you want me.
The hunger.
Yes, like that is what makes it better for me. And then there's the acceptance celebration. You love all of who I am. You love that I'm this friend of yours, that we're lovers, that we have kids together, all this is, you're making love to all of me. It's not just sex. It's you really love and like and celebrate me. And so that person...
myriad ways, you accept everything.
Oh yeah,
about
totally.
me.
But when you bring that to the bedroom, that totally takes it up for them. So it's not just sex, it's you're making love to me. You're not making love to my body, it's all of me. And that person's a different sex language than maybe some of the others we talked about.
And that almost sounds like there would be so much freedom, because lots of people, they're afraid, do you love me? How do you feel about me? And they're worried about it. So particularly for someone with that sex language, to know that you embrace all aspects of them.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It would be amazing, because then they can relax, they can be free to do whatever they want.
But what if I could teach you how to communicate a sex language in your environment, in your invitation, in your foreplay, in your act, and afterwards, specifically for the person you're in a relationship with?
That's
what
incredible.
if you could totally mess them up from the beginning to the end and predictably take them to higher levels? I had a lady in my office just this, about a week or so ago doing an intensive, and she knew what her love language, her sex language was, but he didn't. And I said, now try it in her language. First, he's like, because he didn't know how to ask for sex, which is a whole other conversation. But I said, ask her for sex. He's, well, do you want to make love? Didn't do anything for her. I said, now ask her in what you know about her sex language. I really want you, and I want to make love to you. I mean, you could see this. I'm wanted. Right, oh my gosh, if I wasn't in the room, I mean, it would happen, because she was so excited right then, because he got it right. You know, he got her. And he was trying to
Captured her right away.
Right, but he was speaking sex in her language, but he didn't know how to do that, and it totally messed her up. It was great.
That sounds awesome. I mean, that would be so rewarding to see that creating such a major shift, because it starts with the invitation.
Absolutely.
And I want to talk in a little bit, I also want to talk about how when people don't, either they're the only ones who are approaching, they don't get approached, or they get rejected a lot. So I think the concept you're talking about, maybe even just the way that the person asks would make a huge difference. Viewers, if you're unaware of how to identify your own or your partner's sex language, do call in to chat with us. So why is it important, you've already started to talk about it a little bit, to know your own and your partner's sex language?
Well, if you know who you are sexually, then it's easier to communicate what you want. And so, but you're going to marry someone different than you. You're going to be in a relationship with someone different than you. Like fun and patience always seem to get married. I want to try something different. No, I don't. Right? And then you have to, okay, tonight, let's do the patient thing. I'm going to touch your back for 25 minutes. I'm going to touch your feet, and then we're going to, you know, maybe make love, because time means love to you. Okay, but tomorrow night or the next night we have sex, let's do it by the fireplace, okay? We can still take time, but let's just change the room a little bit.
Change it up a little bit.
And you have to kind of work with each other a little bit. It's not about one person's sex language being dominant. It's about being able to sing in harmony.
Sing in harmony, that's a really well put, that's a good metaphor. And I like the way you've said that, you know, you can kind of blend them together. That's what harmony is all about. Because the fun person, they might get bored of the patient, the wants at the same time, every single time. And they might feel threatened and uncomfortable. And you have those people when, you know, you introduce something new, like, you want me to do what? Where did you learn that?
Right.
And their mind goes to a different place, and they're no longer present. So I'm really glad that you're talking about this. Viewers, if you have questions or comments about the subject matter or intimacy in general, please don't hesitate to call in right away. It's a great way to get expert advice. Speaking of expert advice, one of the things you talk about in your book is adgredients. What are they?
Well, an adgredient is basically a couple decides what's in their particular sexual salad, soup, or cake, okay? And they say, these are the things that we're really good with, both of us. Your sex language, my sex language, just mix it up and it looks like this salad, okay? These things, they're not gonna work for us. This works for us. Maybe these things we'll experiment with, and we'll see if they work for us without pressure, just kind of two adults saying, hey, let's see if this one works for us. But then you know what your range is when you're singing. You know how far you can go that's going to be comfortable and acceptable and pleasurable. You know, and you decide that before you're going into the act, so that you're not bringing up something in the act and ruining it. Because here we're having a good time with our salad, and now you want to try this anchovy. Well, come on, it's not in our salad, and you're bringing it up right before now. Like, please don't take me to that place.
Timing is a little bit off.
Kind of. So it lets couples. You know, Rebecca, you're really good at letting people have a conversation, but you know most adults don't have a sex conversation with their partner or with their spouse. The 5 sex languages lets them have an intelligent conversation. What do you think? What about this? You know, and some ideas, you know, you're like, hey, let's try Jell-O in the bathtub. Well, that may look good on paper, but Jell-O's cold. And they go, well, that doesn't work for me. Okay, well, then it doesn't work. If it works, well, then you get stock in Jell-O.
But I think you're right. Just being able to talk about it, opening up, because I often say that boredom isn't a solo sport. It's often a couple sport, more often than not, unless you're talking about the person with the patients. So if you are bored, there's a good chance that your partner might be also. And so this, what you're proposing, it's sort of like the yes, no, maybe list that we have online.
Absolutely.
And the yeses, you can put them as ingredients. The no's, of course, kind of set off to side. And with maybes, that's where you have room to see how can we turn it into a yes, what will it take?
Well, and
you're talking.
Sometimes a couple, they're bored, but sometimes they just feel misunderstood. I don't understand why you don't want to go by the fireplace. Like, I don't get you. That's how it starts. But then over 10, 15, 20 years, it becomes you're rejecting my sexuality. You don't accept me. I've got to accept you by your rules. But this helps them bend a little bit. So hey, let's have a couple set of rules. Well, let's have mutual rules. You know, we'll do that for 20 minutes, and then we'll go do something else for 20 minutes, and that's fine.
And why the heck not? When you can, it's a buffet, and you can try so many different things. I think we have a caller. Good evening, Carl. What is your question for us tonight? Hello, Carl. Hi, Carl. What's your question for us?
Yes. I'm with a woman that I've been with previously. And the thing with me is, before we had, you know, it was all good. But now, when I'm with her now, it's been 10 years, and I can't get an erection. I can't, I don't know what's wrong.
Okay. So, Carl, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's happened in those 10 years? Because, you know, first of all, I want to ask you, are you occasionally waking up with the morning wood? Are you erect on your own when you're doing some self-loving, or it's just not happening?
No, I wake up with, an erection and everything else.
Okay.
And,
so chances are it could be psychological. I mean, I don't want to rule out physiological, but usually when it's a physiological reason, people stop waking up with the morning wood. So it could be a psychological thing. What happened in those 10 years? The two things I'm particularly wondering about is if there was unresolved hurt, or if when you were on your own, if you indulged in a lot of masturbation, because when you get used to your own touch, you're at the giving and the receiving, and the penis kind of gets lazy, and another touch doesn't, particularly penetrative touch, doesn't feel good, or even getting excited about your partner gets a little bit harder, particularly if you've utilized porn. So the two questions I have are, was there hurt that has been unresolved, or Carl?
no.
Okay.
No, there was no hurt.
Okay, and when you...
We just lost each other for 10 years.
Okay.
And we just got back together. She's living with me now. And, like, it's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm scared to try something or whatever, but when I'm with her, like, she wants a cuddle, right?
Okay.
And I'm not a cuddle person.
Okay, fair enough.
But
So-
I love her to death, don't get me wrong, but
okay.
for some reason, I look at her like I'm far away from her.
So there's a distance. Dr. Weiss, what would you like to say to Carl?
Carl, I mean, Rebecca I would have asked exactly the same questions. One more. You didn't really answer the question about pornography. How often is that happening in your life?
I don't watch dirty movies or anything. It's come natural, right?
Okay, so do you have a lot of weight around your gut?
So, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so then you might want to. How's your energy during the day? Pretty low, or medium, or high?
No, I walk every day. I walk 3 miles every day. I jog and.
How old are you?
Well, I got a fat gut. I'm 54.
Okay, you might want to get your testosterone checked and your thyroid, because either one of those could be lowering your ability. And get those checked, and then call Rebecca back in a month or so and tell her how you're doing. Okay. But also, it sounds like, you know, this woman's maybe different than you're used to, but you take your time with her and talk to her about what's going on, and I think you'll be fine. But get those two things checked and see if it's physiological, because I'm not hearing any psychological stuff. You're not hurt, you're not angry, you're not doing porn, you know. So then I go to the body and check the body out and make sure the body's working okay. And if it is, And there's some things you can do. There's a product at GNC called Force Factor that can help you sustain. There's another natural product called Royal Maca for men, which can help your hormone level go up and which can also prolong an erection. And so these two things you could try as well. But also get those tests done and see how you're doing with that.
And Carl, also while you're getting those tests done, get your cortisol level checked as well. Because if your cortisol level goes up with stress, testosterone plummets, blood vessels constrict, so you're not going to get a good wood, okay? So have those checked out, all right? Thanks for your call. We'll be right back. Keep your calls coming, and let's discuss sex, relationships, romance, or whatever else rocks your boat. And keep it locked on Rogers TV, because we have lots more great stuff still ahead, including your calls. So pick up that phone and call so we can connect.